We are at Commodity Classic, and I'm Brian Winnikins, and our broadcast being brought to you in part by Annabis Silo of Durand, also the Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, BASF, the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association, and the Wisconsin Soybean Growers Association. Joining us right now is President of ASA, Wade Cowan. And Wade, well, let's talk a little bit about some of the soybean issues. I know that one of the big issues, I had a chance to talk with one of the young farmers, is the proprietary information of all of that private data that we have now from our tractors and all of the GPS information. Who does it belong to? The landowner or the farmer? I think that's an interesting issue.
Well, it's I think the first thing we got to get to is that it is the farmers or the landowners. It stops there. It's not we can't give that information over to the company. And so the next level is, who generates the data? Who does it help? I've come down kind of on the deal of it's the farmer's data, the person who's operating the farm at the time. The landowners, they do have some necessity in knowing what they're looking at, but the farmer's the one generating that data. The farmer's the one that's using it, and I think that it's a fine line there, because when a landowner gets it and he can use it, then that data can be used in a way that harms the individual farmer, because you could come into a situation where this farmer's doing a really good job and he's got this data, but the landowner goes to somebody else that's willing to pay a little more rent and says, hey, this is what this farm can do. And so it's kind of a tricky area. You want to protect the individual producer, because if you lose the land, if you're not able to farm that, then it's really hard to get that next piece of land. And so I think it comes down on the farmer side. I'm on both sides of this issue. I've got land where I'm a landlord on, and I've got land that we operate, and it, as a landlord, I would even come down then on the fact that it's the farmers, it's the operators, it's operators' information until the point when the farm goes back, and then I think it's kind of a shared deal.
Talking with Wade Cowan, he is president of ASA. I know, Wade, we talked earlier as well here at Commodity Classic about those transportation issues and really the importance of the transportation infrastructure, and not only the locks and dams, but really the railroads, the ports, and even the roads, that we need to keep these things up to date.
Well, there isn't anything that's righter than that, because if we don't have the ability to get our crops to port, then we can't get the money that we need out of those crops. We've saw basis levels, especially in North Dakota, go down. They blame it on the rail shortage, and you can blame it on whatever. The railroads making decisions. They're hauling oil instead of commodities right now, and that's where they can make the most money. I think there's some deeper line issues here. The president vetoed the Keystone Pipeline once again. Well, a lot of that oil could be moving down the pipeline. The oil company would still be benefiting, and the farmer could benefit. So I don't know why we're not looking at a more holistic approach in the country at all levels. Whether it doesn't matter where you're at in the country, rural or urban. That we've just got to look at what's best for the country and try to do that, instead of using these niche groups and slicing ourselves up.
Finally, before we let you go as well, what are some of the other things that soybean growers are talking about here at Classic?
Well, we're trying to put a more positive spin on some of the issues that we've been looking at in the past. The thing that we brought out today in the news conference is that we're taking a new look at how we argued the GMO labeling argument, and we're going more to a positive outlook, going to not only the ag community but to the bigger urban community as a whole. And that labeling message from us is that if you get a label and you label GMO on everything that has GMO in it, and you don't know whether that's 10% of the product that's in it or 100% of the product in it, what good does that do you? Let's go back to what we've already got a model for. It's the organic model with USDA. Let's make a non-GMO certification where the government can come in, USDA, he can certify that there's a producer and there's a handler, and all the way through the chain. And so then you'd have a USDA certified GMO free product, which is really good for the consumer, because that's what they want to know, that there's something there that has no GMOs in it. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to get 99% of the stuff having a label on it. It means nothing.
Interesting time. Well, again, Wade, we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
That is Wade Cowan. He is president of the ASA. We are at Commodity Classic. I'm Brian Winnikins for Real Country 1430